Greetings to all, my name is Grudar and welcome to a very special episode. Today I will be talking about the newest Eldritch Moon spoilers for Magic the Gathering. And there are already 3.5 spoilers. So let's talk about the one and only Emrakul first. So Emrakul the Promised End is a 13 mana, 13/13, so we can get where the Triskei deck phobia is coming from. And it's a legendary creature, Eldrazi obviously, and it costs 1 less for each card type in your graveyard, which means in Standard it can go down as far as 6 mana, and outside of Standard even 5. Because Tribal also counts as a card type, but that's probably not gonna come back in Standard. And when you cast it, you gain control of target opponent's turn during their next turn. But after that turn, they get to play their own turn again. So they do get to draw 2 cards. And it has flying, trample, and protection from instant. So what I like about this card is that it's huge and it doesn't cost a lot. So realistically, with the cards that are already in Standard right now, it's probably gonna cost 7 or 8 mana. Realistically. Perhaps you'll get it down to 6, but that's gonna be pretty hard to pull off early, unless you play like Nissa and she dies because she's only 3 mana. But realistically, you're gonna be able to play this guy or this girl by turn 7. And what it does is you have a 13/13, which can get removed because it has protection from instants unless by a flash enchantment that just exiles it. And then you get to take their turn, wasting all their sorcery removal on useless stuff or their own creatures if they have any. And you just do wasteful stuff. You make your opponent draw cards, which is actually yourself, and all that stuff. There's a lot of fun stuff that can happen while gaining the opponent's turn. If you've ever played with Mindslaver before, or anything that gains an opponent's turn, or gains control of an opponent's turn, it's pretty nice. They do get to take an extra turn after that, but with way less useful cards, obviously. And if it survives by then, if it survives that turn, then great! You've successfully cast Emrakul and you're probably going to win. So people are underestimating this card. I really think this has a place in some Standard decks. Or it might even spawn a new kind of deck. And then we have Coax from the Blind Eternities, which is 2 generic and 1 blue for a sorcery. You may choose an Eldrazi you own from outside the game, or in exile, reveal that card and put it into your hand. So what this actually does, in casual you get to pick any card in your collection, but in tournaments there is this rule, just like with the old Wish cards, that you only get to take it from out of your sideboard. Except this one also gets any Eldrazi out of exile, which means if they use their exile enchantment removal on your Emrakul, you can just get it out of exile and play it again. So this card is pretty hard to judge. It depends a lot on how much exile removal there's gonna be, and how much or how many Eldrazi there's gonna be that are worth getting. Because, you know, only for Emrakul, maybe, but I wouldn't play it for just a single card. So maybe there's a possibility that this card is just going to spawn a really cool Eldrazi deck where you have these situational Eldrazi in your sideboard and you grab them when you need them. So like, say you need a Reality Smasher right now. So then you say like, oh, I play Coax from the Blind Eternities, I go into my sideboard and I grab a Reality Smasher. So that's a really interesting card. It's basically sideboarding before the game has even begun, and it has the upside of retrieving removed Eldrazi from exile. So that's a really underestimated card, I think. It does cost 3 mana just to get a card, but I'm pretty sure this is gonna be pretty good. Next we have Ulrich of the Krallen Horde, 3 generic and red and green, for a legendary creature human werewolf. Whenever this creature enters the battlefield or transforms into Ulrich of the Krallen Horde, target creature gets +4/+4 until end of turn. At the beginning of each upkeep, if no spells were cast last turn, transform Ulrich of the Krallen Horde. And the flip side is a legendary creature werewolf. Whenever this creature transforms into Ulrich, uncontested alpha, you may have it fight target non-werewolf creature you don't control. And at the beginning of each upkeep, if a player casts 2 or more spells last turn, transform Ulrich uncontested alpha. And it's a 6/6. So this card, I don't know, without having a real way of like cheating it into the battlefield, I don't know if this is gonna be good enough. It doesn't really have trample, and it's late enough in game to have your opponent cast a spell basically every turn. Well, not really, but well, I think this is a good card, but not a great one. I'm not sure if this will see any play in Standard. Obviously it's a huge limited bomb, but most mythics are huge limited bombs. And I think it's supposed to be Arlinn Kord and then have Ulrich to have a huge creature with haste and trample, I believe Arlinn gives. At turn 5 suddenly, out of nowhere. And that's pretty good. Obviously this card is gonna see a lot of commander, EDH play. It's a werewolf, it's a big werewolf. But standard wise and modern legacy wise, I don't think this card is good enough. Well, it might be. It really depends on the other cards in the set. As it is right now, it's not good enough. It doesn't have trample. No, it needs other cards to actually do anything, and that's not always that good. So last card, or last half card, we have Hanweir, or Hanweir, I don't know, the Writhing Township. And it's a legendary creature, Eldrazi Ooze. It doesn't cost anything since it's a backside of a flip card, and it's a 7/4 trample haste. Whenever it attacks, you get 2 3/2 colorless Eldrazi horror creature tokens, tapped and attacking. This is insane. So, obviously if this were a card, it would cost like 8 mana. Or something, I don't know, it would cost an enormous amount of mana. And looking at the collector's number, it's actually 130. So what does that mean? That it's not a land on the front side, and that it is probably a red card, because there's 205 cards in the set, which means there's about 35 cards for each color, I think. This kinda adds up because there's multicolored cards and land. So that means this card is probably red or green. And I have no idea what the front side is going to be. But I do know that it's gonna be a pretty good card. Unless it has an insanely difficult front side to flip. But otherwise it's gonna be a pretty good card. It's gonna be a limited bomb at the very least. And I'm not sure what kind of card or what card type this will be at the front side. It might be an enchantment, it might be a sorcery, it might even be an instant, it might even be a planeswalker, hell, who knows. But I just know that depending on how easy it is to flip it, it's gonna be a good card. So that does it for the spoilers for now. As always, thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!